사운드를 재생장치 소리를 좀 줄이고 싶은데 아, 좋아. 됐고. 아직 게임을 시키지도 않았는데 점유율의 상태가 이거 딴짓 좀 하고 있어야겠는데. 뭐야? 아니, 왜 이래? 생농도 32비트 수준이야. 그래픽 설정 기본가 정확한 거 목소리하네 이거네. 씨. 난이도 보통 어려운 어? 어라? 창모드가 안 돼? 비디오 설정. 제 시작이 되긴. 오, 그래, 되는구만. 는 꺼졌네. 좋아.
What's this? No.
되게 어색하다 얘들. 약간 그 인형 같지 않아? 약간 그 뭐냐 그 어린애들이 가지고 노는 그 인형. 약간 무서운 거 있잖아. 무슨 인형 어디야? 야, 이 인형 진짜 사람같이 생겼다. 오, 깜짝이야. 아우.
Ooh.
뭐야? 저주야 저주? 칼?
Oh, look! It's a book!
등에 책이 꽂혀 있어?
Maybe it's a book about pirates with a treasure map.
캐리비안 해적에서 이미 나왔어.
No, I don't think so.
표정 봐.
I wish that I had seen through all your lies. Oh, start from the beginning, not the middle. And so I decided to pick up my pen to relate the most disturbing episode of my life thus far.
보라색 여자 얼굴 왜
It all
저렇게
began early one morning in 1898 when Sherlock Holmes invited me to accompany him on a visit to the Marquis of Conyngham.
커닝엄? 영국 발음 봐.
Watson, my dear fellow, we can now go and inform the Marquis that we have found the Samoan necklace, and very much faster than Inspector Baines, too, which pleases me.
Have you really solved the theft, Holmes? And so quickly?
I have indeed, Watson, and believe me, it was completely unnecessary to spread out all over London, as our friend Baines thought was best. He likes to boast that his methods are equal to mine, but once again the outcome has contradicted him.
After all these years of accompanying you upon your investigations, I thought that by now I should be reasonably capable of following your train of thought. But in this particular case, I must admit that I don't understand anything at all.
Ah, you see, but you do not observe, Watson. There lies the difference. It is a matter of course.
사건 중간부터 들어오니까 뭐라는
A matter of
하나도
course.
모르겠어.
In the middle of the night, when everyone is fast asleep, the service bell within that room rings out and alerts the servants. They dress quickly and come running, but the door is locked and there is a strong smell of burning from within. A few seconds later, the master of the house himself, the robbed Marchioness's husband, the Marquis of Conyngham, arrives and unlocks the door using the sole key. A fire has started inside the room, but they have managed to arrive in time to put it out. It is at that moment that the Marquis realizes that the famous Samoan necklace, which had been safe within its glass cabinet only a few hours earlier, has now disappeared.
고마워 설명 좀.
In order to explain, let us confirm my theory before the arrival of Inspector Baines.
잠깐만. 저는 굳이 이제 키보드를 할 필요가 없죠. 프레스 스틱이 있어서 스틱을 끼도록 하겠습니다. 됐고, 부서진 장시장이 어디 있는데? 이건 어항이고, 장식장을 바라본 상태에서.
This window was cut with a diamond, a clean, discreet piece of work. This is where the necklace was.
See how tiny the hole is, and not one fingerprint upon the window.
그냥 깨는 게 낫지 않았을까? 저렇게 다이아몬드 칼이야? 초록색 얼굴입니다. 창가를 위해서 두 개를 동시에 볼 수 있어.
A mark undoubtedly made by a diamond. Someone tried to cut the glass, but he was interrupted.
Therefore, the thief tried to escape through the window, but he was interrupted.
그렇지. 근데 야, 상식적으로 저렇게 작게 해가지고 사람이 어떻게 잡아냐? 머리밖에 안 들어갈 때.
All the windows are locked. They've not been forced.
어지럽다 약간. 너무 빨라서. 보기? 창고 안의 아이템을 조사하거나 활성화시킬 수 있습니다. 돋보기. 악보들이 흩어져 있습니다. 창고 안의 아이템을 선택하고.
I need something.
I need something.
Let us examine the crumpled scores that have fallen off the piano.
단서를 찾으라고.
These sooty prints were left by a tiny hand.
I don't understand why these music scores are covered with soot.
되게 작은데 아이거나 여자. 1.7.2
A candle. It must have fallen from the chandelier. Not very well kept, this aquarium. I can see a dead fish floating on the surface.
이 어항에 뭔가 죽은 거랑 저 샹들리에 뭔가 저런 수상한데.
This draft screen makes an ideal hiding place.
As the theft was committed at night, I conclude that the thief hid himself behind the draft screen and waited until he was alone in the room.
아, 여기 와서 기다렸다고? 한밤중까지?
When the servants arrived at the door, having been alerted by the bell, they saw evidence of the theft and the fire, but they didn't see the thief.
This door is very hard to force. The Marquis is the only person to have the key. The thief could not get out through here until eventually, when the door was opened by the servants.
What do you think, Holmes?
Let us search the room before the... Strange. There aren't any prints. Yet I'm sure that the thief hid here.
여기에 숨었을 텐데. 다른 뭐 있나?
All the windows are locked. All the windows.
모든 창문은 다 닫혀 있었고. 겁나 많네.
The fire started here, just beneath.
Whoever pulled the cord would have had his feet in the fire, unless it was pulled before the fire started.
줄이라고? 아, 무슨 줄이야? 뭐 하는 줄이지?
Strange. There are some objects here that have been knocked over.
밟고 올라갔나? 왜? 획대대.
Heading towards his chosen escape route, probably the window, the thief knocked over the stool, which then caught fire.
But why didn't he try to put the fire out at once?
그렇지 않았다.
Ah, Mr. Holmes,
갑자기.
you're already here.
Good morning, Inspector. You've arrived just in time.
Scotland Yard arrives like the cavalry, always in the nick of time. Ah,
난 아직도
but I know that
모르겠는데?
satisfied expression, Mr. Holmes. Have you already solved the case?
It's possible.
We have retraced the thief's rather unusual footsteps. He is a true acrobat. But what I cannot understand is that when the servants entered the room, there was no one to be seen. An acrobat, perhaps, but an invisible one? I do not think so.
The only explanation is that the thief escaped before the servants arrived. I don't know how, but there is no other way.
Half a point for the doctor, nil for the inspector.
I'm pleased to see that you find the situation amusing, Mr. Holmes. Very well then.
빠져나갔고,
Explain.
몸이
Dr. Watson was correct when he mentioned acrobatics, but he is mistaken about the nature of the acrobat. As for you, Baines, you're quite incorrect, as the thief was in the room when the servants entered.
Explain, for heaven's sake, Mr. Holmes.
Watson, how could a thief be missed in the middle of 8 men?
I don't know. Because he is very small? Stop teasing us, Holmes.
Exactly, because he is small, small and remarkably agile,
You're thinking of a monkey?
and a trained monkey at that, without a doubt, a Leontopithecus rosalia from Central America.
원숭이였다고? 범인이?
The animal had been hidden inside the room for several hours, calmly awaiting the signal from his master. Once night had fallen and the room was empty, a high-frequency whistle alerted the monkey that it was time to begin the procedure for which he had been trained. The monkey emerged from his hiding place and used the point of a diamond to open the glass cabinet and steal the necklace. He headed across to the window by the chimney, but knocked over the stool, which in turn knocked aside the fire guard and started the fire. The frightened monkey jumped from the chimney by swinging from the bell pull, thus alerting the house servants. He then went to the window and began to use his diamond to cut a hole, but was interrupted by the staff trying to gain entry via the door, and he panicked again. He ran across the piano, scattering the music scores onto the floor, before hiding inside the chandelier, knocking over a candle. Finally, the servants and the Marquis entered the room, leaving the door open while they put out the fire. It was during the confusion that our agile little thief made his escape through the doorway. As simple as that.
A brilliant explanation. Bravo, Holmes.
And the necklace?
I can see it from here, my friends. It's right in front of us.
We have searched the room from top to bottom, Holmes. How were we unable to find it?
Because we paid insufficient attention to the only victim of this affair.
What victim? No one is dead?
Yes, Watson, a poor goldfish whose destiny was to die, crushed by one of the most precious necklaces in England.
The aquarium is just beneath the chandelier. I understand.
The little monkey had likely hung the necklace around its neck and lost it when he leapt from the chandelier. The jewels fell into the aquarium where they remain now.
원숭이를 저렇게까지 훈련시킬 수 있나 모르겠는데. 야, 마술이야? 갑자기 손에서 목걸이가 나와. 셜록 홈즈가 아니라
Marquis,
마술사잖아.
here is your necklace, intact, just a little wet.
Mr. Holmes, this brilliant demonstration does credit to your reputation.
Thank you so much, Marquis. Do you wish to verify the authenticity of your jewel?
No, I recognize it. I have spent many hours admiring it, you know.
Good. I will return it to its box and...
Inspector, a bank has just been held up. You must follow me at once.
Shotteria.
Orders of Scotland Yard.
What times?
Sirs, duty calls. My regards, Marquis. And well done again, Mr. Holmes.
There, the necklace is in its box. We've lost enough time here. Let's go home, Watson.
Let's go home.
Ah, very well, as you wish. A good day to you, Marquis.
With pleasure, gentlemen. And once again, thank you.
Thank you. 영국 18은? 영국 18은 맞나?
This morning's newspaper. Holmes, have you read this article about you?
No, Watson, not yet, and I won't have time to.
Read it before you leave. It's outrageous.
If you insist.
악플 달았어? 털이 추리는 않다. 도둑이 불안해하세요. 자는 그 후에 홈즈가 한 녀석에게 사무화산 도난사건의 수사효율을 알리며 폭력 조사되었다. 도둑이 실제로 값비싼 보석이 전시되어 있다. 방어의 정면으로 복구가 새로웠다. 유일하게 열쇠를 가지고 있던 부자의 문이나 방은 불길이 번지고 불을 끄기에 모두가 달려들었다. 가장 충격적인 사실은 출구가 모두 잠겨있음에도 불구하고 도둑을 찾을 수 없었다. 사건을 해결하고 제자리로 돌아온 듯했다. 목걸이가 진품에 싸구려의 모조품에 불과한 사실을 깨달았다. 같은 일을 금지수. 어허. 한마디로
Prince Woodville, French culinary expert and bagpipe player, might be our next king. That's not so shocking, my dear fellow.
You know exactly to which article I'm referring, Holmes. How can Farley dare to tarnish your reputation like that?
You know, Watson, that wherever glory walks, jealousy is bound to follow. As for the forgery of the necklace, I suspect that we shall soon be enlightened in this regard. Come in, Inspector Baines, the door's open.
뭐야?
Ah, Mr. Holmes. How did you know I was here?
You are one of our rare visitors who avoids the second-to-last step of the stairs, which creaks dreadfully. And if I add the clinking of the handcuffs at your belt, to what do we owe the pleasure of your visit, Inspector?
Have you read that rag?
Inspector, I assume that you have the fake necklace with you. It's why you're here. Your superiors would like me to examine it.
Indeed. They would like you to confirm or deny putting this fake in the box.
Can't that wait? I must go to the house of Lord Peregrine Maitland, the Bishop of Knightsbridge.
중상모냐? 이것도 읽어봐야.
Inspector, can you explain this slander? Has the necklace of the Samoas really been replaced by a fake?
I don't know how the reporter got hold of the information, but it's true. About the necklace, of course. I wouldn't permit myself to question the integrity and honesty of Mr. Holmes.
The necklace is a forgery? Impossible! I saw the Marquis authenticated before my very eyes, before Holmes returned it to its place.
Mr. Holmes, the Marquis believes Osmond Farley's theory. I shouldn't be surprised if the reporter isn't behind all this slander about you. He's a freelancer, well known for his explosive and subjective articles. In any case, the Marquis assures us that you were the last person to have the necklace in your hands.
Let's return to the Marquis's house, Holmes. I'm sure that we'll have no trouble in taking apart this theory.
It is unnecessary. Such allegations collapse on their own, like one of Mrs. Hudson's soufflés. Let us leave the police to solve this problem and turn our attention to the matters in hand.
냉정하니 아주
Perhaps you are right, Holmes.
샤프하구만. 후작 부인?
And the Marchioness?
She is beside herself. Without the necklace, her marriage is compromised. It is the principal item of the young woman's dowry.
영웅
What a
문화를
lovely
조사?
marriage.
조사? 무슨 조사?
Holmes, forgive me for insisting, but don't you want to examine the fake jewelry?
Watson, I have an appointment, and it's out of the question that I arrive late.
It will only take you a couple of minutes. You really must quell the suspicions put forward in this appalling
순서가 아주
article.
정확하구만.
If you will allow me, Inspector.
Be my guest.
Be my guest.
Very well.
빨리 와. 뭐야 이거? 겁나 신경 쓰이네. VR? 맞나 VR?
What do you think?
How do you think, Holmes?
What do you think, Holmes?
뭘? 아유 자꾸. 아,
What do you think?
시끄럽네. 오케이, 이거 확인해 봅시다. 조작이 아직 손에 안 익네.
These 3 pearls are of poor quality. This pearl is a different color. This pearl is too small. It is not in its place here. Too many defects. This necklace is a fake. This is nothing but a vulgar copy, and at a glance it would appear that the forger has intended for it to be seen as such.
How could we have been fooled by such a blatant imitation? I don't understand.
Yes, how is it possible? Holmes, do you have a theory about this?
I have absolutely no idea. You insisted that I examine the necklace, and I have done so. Now it is important that I keep my appointment. I'm sure, Inspector, that you will throw some light on this affair.
Holmes.
You may accompany me, Watson, if you care to do so.
Goodbye, gentlemen. I'll keep you informed as to my inquiries.
Goodbye, Inspector. You mentioned a bishop, didn't you? Are we going to his home?
Yes, the Bishop of Knightsbridge. I put his address on our map of London on my desk. Would you get it for me, please?
All right, Holmes.
Have you found my...
런던 지도요? 이거는 런던 지도가 아니라 영국 지도잖아.
I have found your map.
I found your map. 여기 가면 되나?
The police? Already? How did you know?
May we see the Bishop of Knightsbridge?
Yes. Yes, of course. But come in.
경찰이 아닌데.
What has happened, Reverend?
What?
I don't know. It was last night, I think. I only just arrived, and I have made this macabre discovery. My God. How horrible. I haven't called anyone. How did you know that?
지난번에 막 도착.
Holmes, look!
The Bishop, appallingly mutilated.
How dreadful.
Mutilated. And killed. He was such a good man. How could anyone be so brutal? Look at him. He is barely recognizable now. How could any of God's children be responsible for that?
They were evidently unworthy children, Reverend. Now do please try to calm yourself and focus, because we will need your assistance. Do you have any idea as to the motive behind this?
I haven't had time to do an inventory, but nothing appears to have been stolen. And anyway, His Excellency didn't own anything of great value. I don't know what else I can tell you.
Note this down, please, Doctor.
Doctor? But you aren't the police?
No, Reverend. I am Sherlock Holmes, and this is Dr. Watson. We are here at the request of the Bishop.
In that case, I must ask you to leave, and not to touch anything. I must get in touch with the authorities without further delay.
Reverend, when the inspectors of Scotland Yard find themselves at a dead end, which they quite often do, I assure you, then they turn to me for help. If you will allow us to continue our investigation, then you shall have the answers to all of your questions.
Out of the question! I don't even know you! I'm going to call the police, whether you like it or not.
It would be better for everyone, Reverend, if you kept your temper. Watson, are you taking notes? This affair promises to be a complex one, therefore we must not overlook the slightest detail.
Yes, Holmes. I am keeping a meticulous set of notes. I have created a very clever deduction board. One thing we can be sure of at the moment is that this crime was not for gain. The Reverend has informed us that nothing valuable was stolen, and indeed, it would seem that the Bishop had nothing of any worth to take.
Very good, Watson. Do continue.
안 봐가? 알고 있는 사실을 가지고 만지를 해보세요. 걱정된 소리였다. 공부 내부에 존재가
A broken file and blood near the neck.
What a strange smell. Phew. Chemical components, I think.
This stove is filled to overflowing.
열료를 꽉 채워놨더라.
The fingers have been crushed and violently struck. The fingers have been... His forearms have been ripped. Pieces of skin have been torn off. What do you think, Watson?
I'd say that he was eaten alive. Yet I've noticed a curious degeneration of the skin tissue around the wounds.
먹었다고? 뜯어먹었다고? 어우.
His stomach is covered in scratches. Quite evidently, they weren't made recently.
So, these wounds were not made by his murderers.
배는 살인자의 생각이.
His chest has been lacerated, I would say, with a very sharp and fine blade. You can see by his expression that he suffered terribly.
His mouth is covered in blood, and I can make out strips of skin between his teeth. My dear friend, everything points to this man having gnawed at his own forearms.
That's unbelievable, Holmes.
These burns are terrible.
This poor man was tied just below the knees.
To stop him from walking, certainly, but mostly to free his feet.
This poor...
To stop him from walking, certainly, but mostly to free his feet.
His feet have been...
My first impression is that he wears a size 9 shoe.
You! But what does it matter, Holmes? My God, Holmes, this man was horribly tortured.
A finger. Apparently, it doesn't belong to the
How dreadful.
좀 그렇다잉.
A piece of rope that was used to tie up that poor man. Something is missing here.
Oh, yes? And what might that be?
His shoes. Watson, his shoes are missing.
신발이 없어.
A bottle of whiskey. I can make out fingerprints stained with blood and dirt.
그러면 저 고문해놓고 여기서 뭐 마셨다는 거야? 아니 저 여기 좀 대주실래요?
A broken bottle of whiskey. However, the Bishop of Knightsbridge was known for his sobriety. It would seem that the brutes who tortured the bishop to death were intoxicated with alcohol.
아우. 사이코패스라냐? 사람 고문하고.
There is blood on this paperweight. This paperweight was used to crush the victim's fingers.
문진?
Impossible to open it. I need some. Reverend, I'm missing something, an implement with which to open this chest. Could you tell me where to find it?
No, go to the devil.
What are you afraid of, Reverend? What is inside the chest?
I'm not afraid of anything. In fact, I do have the necessary implements, but if I have to give them to anyone, it will be to a representative of the law and no one else.
이건 뭐 어디인가에 관련.
You have no right to search here.
근데 왜 가만히 보고 있어, 아저씨? 응? 왜 가만히 보고 있어? 보통 내쫓지 않나? 뭐야 이거?
A whip?
No, it is a discipline for...
자학을 했다고?
This metal rod is for fastening the chilies. It's a cilice designed to bruise the person wearing it. The bishop wore it as repentance. This very pious man must have had the habit of mortifying his flesh as a means of repentance. The picture of Peregrine Maitland, commander of the infantry brigade of Her Majesty's Guards at Waterloo.
The Bishop of Knightsbridge has the same name as his ancestor, an illustrious family.
This door has not been forced. Where did...
To His Excellency's room. There is just a mattress and a stool.
뭐 수사할 권리가 없다면서 다 알려주잖아. 엄청 착한.
The bishop's bedroom. It is very austere. Nothing in particular here.
진짜 무슨 감옥 같아요. 저거 차는 그런 거야?
Closed. The veranda door hasn't been forced. Strange. Reverend, might I have the key?
No! You have no authority here. Let me call the police.
Perhaps we should listen to him, Holmes.
왜 이렇게 친친데?
Perhaps you should let me get on with this, Watson. Closed.
Closed. 나 가지고 있나? 나이프를 열 수 있어?
Closed. Closed.
뭐야?
A surgical scalpel covered in blood. There isn't any doubt. The wounds on the bishop were administered with this scalpel.
가슴에 있던 상처? 베인 상처? 베란다를 수색하지 않았다. 살인범들 특정 무언가 찾고 있었다. 특정한 무언가를 찾고 있었다? 그럼 다 깨서 열어봤겠지? 살인범들은 엉뚱한 사람을 찾았다. 엉뚱한 사람을 찾았다? 애매모호한데 살인범들이 습격했다. 이거 같긴 한데 잘 모르겠네. 괴롭힘, 죽의 신발이 사라졌다. 보관함, 금고리 열지 못했다. 이웃집, 주변 술집질했다. 그래서 고양이는 익숙했다. 고문당했다. 견뎌냈다. 금고리 열지 못했다. 주교의 살인범들을 원하는 것을 얻지 못했다. 나도 모르겠지. 주교는 자기 자신을 물어뜯었다. 플라스크 안에 상당히 피가 조금 남아있다. 깨진 플라스크 안에 피가 조금 남아있다. 맞나? 아니면 내용물을 마시겠나? 소진 유효라고 했다는 게 가장 이게 제일 맞겠지? 근데 약간 지금 베란다는 수색하지 않았다. 엉뚱한 사람들이 찾았다고 해야 될 것 같은데?
Closed.
그러면은 열을 때는 보통 어딘가에 열쇠가 있는데
Watch where you're putting your feet, Watson. Have you noticed these prints upon the ground?
Well, yes, those muddy marks.
See here, Watson. Footprints can often provide more vital information than the very best of informants.
Yes, if you know how to make them talk, that is.
It's child's play, Watson. We will begin by excluding the contaminating prints, which are yours and mine from where we came in, and those of our dear Reverend who was so impatient to call the police. I need something. Size 9.
Size 9.
Size 9.5.
9
Size 9.
9
Size 9.
9
Size 9.
다 9.
Nothing of interest here. Size 9.5.
9.5.
A fragment of stone. Peculiar.
Peculiar.
This print came from an expensive pair of shoes, and it seems recent. It is not a laborer's shoe. Nothing of interest. Hobnail boots like those worn by laborers. Hobnail boots like those worn by laborers. Hobnail boots.
이거랑
Hobnail.
이거랑 같은 거네. 들어오고 나가고. 이거는
Nothing of interest. Well-worn shoes with an odd pattern on the soles.
이게 몇인지?
Size 9.
9,
Size 9. Size 9 and a half.
9,
Size 9 and a half.
외발은 아닐 텐데. 하나, 둘, 셋, 넷, 4명 중에
Size 9. I need something.
빛으로 가려볼까? 하나. 1번 질문. 범죄자는 몇 명입니까? 하나는 앞에 계속 이게 뭐가 됐다는 거는 찍어볼까?
Perfect. We now know that there were 3 crooks.
하나, 둘, 셋.
Strange but true. One of the crooks was wearing a different pair of shoes when he left here. Therefore, we have 3 men who came in and left again. But one of them was wearing a different pair of shoes from the ones which he came in with.
So, all we have to do is look for a workman who likes Italian shoes.
You have no right.
No, right there.
I cannot leave.
I cannot leave. 왜 자꾸 저기서 안 먹었지? 수상하네. 뭐 어떻게 해야 되나? 약간
I need something.
I need something.
I am missing some information. Impossible to open.
뭔가를 놓치고 있다고. 이 문을 열어야 될 것 같은데.
Let us look at our...
주변 사람 중 한 명을 죽여실 것 나왔다. 살인범 중 한 명은 신발 장사한다. 가난하다. 주교의 살인범 누군가에게 고용되었다. 살인범들은 주교의 신발을 찾아 나섰다. 살인범에서 주교의 물건을 훔치고 싶어 했다. 맞나? 고용되었다. 가난하다. 엉뚱한 사람을 찾았다. 가난하다. 값진 물건을 소유하지 않았어. 근데 그러니까 베란다도 수색하지 않았지. 그러면 주교는
Perfect. It is evident that the Bishop of Knightsbridge's killers were after something specific, and that they did not find it. Reverend, I shall ask you one more time. Open the chest. The item they were seeking must still be inside. It is unlikely that they will let this matter rest. They will most certainly return to finish what they started.
And I'm telling you once more, the chest is locked and shall remain so.
Very well. We have reached an impasse. You are a stubborn man, Reverend. Watson, accompany our friend to the police station and return with Inspector Baines. Baines and no one else. I shall wait for you here. Go. Alone at last. Now I can continue my investigation. This lock should be easy to pick.
그래.
Let's see.
내가 따야 되는 거야? 무엇이던가? 아, 저 위에 거랑 맞추면 되는 거야?
There we are. It is simplicity itself. There isn't anything much in this room. It must be used as a reading or meditation room.
메디테이션 룸이야?
An ink stain, quite fresh. This stain is just on the edge of the rug.
뭐야?
Let's see. There is nothing on the floor, yet the ink must have soaked through the rug.
딴 데서
An ink stain.
돌렸네.
This inkwell was tipped over recently. The ink stain on the floor comes from the ink on the rug, but they are not in the same place. Someone has moved the rug recently.
굽고 나서 옮기는 거네.
That is curious. There is something strange on the floor. Certain stones have been marked out, just like a chessboard.
자막이 안 나왔는데 바닥에 이상한 체스 무늬에 뭔가 있다고 하네요.
That is curious. There is something strange on the floor. Certain stones have been marked out, just like a chessboard. I need something.
I need something. 이걸 열려면 어떻게 하죠?
That I
저 뭐야? 이게 뭔가요?
Apparently someone wanted to hide this statue. This horse resembles a large chess piece.
Chess piece?
There is a message underneath this statue. Let's see.
글쎄야 상상력이 부족하구나. 왼쪽 체스 수도 나이트가 다른 칸으로 모조리 지나친다고 하지.
This message was written by a woman, but for whom was it intended? Interesting, this chess game. That is curious. There is something strange on the floor. Certain stones have been marked out, just like a chessboard. I need something.
그럼 아까 여기 저 안에 있는 걸로 끝내 될 것 같은데 체스보드 없으니까. 더 봅시다. 선택 여기 여기 맞나 모르겠네. 잠깐만 여기서 이렇게 가면은 여기서 여기로 가야 되고 여기로 가야 되고 오케이 됐다. 그다음 열로
This last piece should be the good one. It will have to be pulled free. I need something. I need
내 사랑 아름다운 봄이었어요. 막내 아이의 생일. 아이가 처음 나올 당신을 위한 말이겠죠. 당신을 그려볼 때입니다. 어쩌다 그렇고 저녁에도 휴가를. 당신 제가 고집 부린다고 생각하는 거 알아요? 저랑 이 아이에 대해 처지 말이에요. 아내가 있었어, 목사가?
A packet of letters addressed to the Reverend. They were written by a woman who mentions his illegitimate children. Their affair isn't official. Perfect. I have you now, my wayward Reverend. Ah, Watson, you were gone a terribly long time, and Inspector Baines isn't with you?
I'm afraid not, Holmes. We were unable to find him.
Dr. Watson would not allow me to contact any inspector other than this Baines. What manners! I am a man of the church.
My dear Reverend, I notice that you are a chess lover. I trust you will excuse me, but I am never able to resist the appeal of a half-finished game.
You are an expert at chess. Very well, then. What do you want now?
As you might have guessed, resolving your small chess problem has allowed me to discover some very interesting letters.
Letters? What do they say?
Reverend, why hide these letters here and run the risk of the bishop finding them?
Holmes, what's in the letters?
Not now, Watson.
Where else could I have hidden them? My own chambers are too austere. They could offer no cover. I knew, however, that His Excellency, may he rest in peace, would not notice my game.
The contents of the Bishop of Knightsbridge's chest interest me greatly. Give me the elements you hold, Reverend.
Out of the question.
With the bishop no more, you are therefore the apostolic director of the diocese, are you not?
Well, yes, but only until someone else is appointed.
I am certain that the Honourable Bishop of York, whom I have the privilege of knowing well enough for him to listen to what I have to say, would recognise your qualities for the post.
If I receive new responsibilities, it will be through my faith and devotion, nothing else.
이런 식으로 내가 부정부패로 이제 뇌물을 얘한테 한번 줘보겠다라는 게 부정부패였던 거야? 또 뭔가 있네.
Do you understand that you are the prime suspect in this terrible murder?
What? But that's ridiculous.
Think for one moment, who profits from this crime?
Not me.
I think so, yes. With the Bishop of Knightsbridge no longer here, you are now the apostolic director of the diocese, are you not?
Yes, until another incumbent is appointed, but...
A position which should logically come to you. The police will not overlook that.
They will never believe you.
But of course they will. Do not forget who I am, Reverend.
You are odious. Here are the stems that you were looking for. You have one.
Evidently, as I always do. What are you able to tell us about the Bishop of Knightsbridge's last days? Did anyone come to visit him? Did he seem worried, anxious? Do not omit the smallest detail.
His nephew came to see him yesterday at His Excellency's request. I found this visit a little peculiar because the young man rarely visits his uncle.
Do you know why that might be? Were they on bad terms?
I don't think so. It's rather a consequence of his work. The young man is employed within the archive section of the Royal Library, which doesn't leave him with a lot of free time.
Do you know the reason for his summons?
No, but the conversation was very heated. It only lasted for a few minutes and ended with the nephew in a terrible rage.
Interesting.
I've answered your questions. Will you now let me contact the authorities?
I'm afraid not, Reverend. Not just yet. All right, now we can open the safe.
열 수 있겠구만. 근데 어떻게 열어? 뭐야 이거 아까 없었잖아.
Now I can open the chest.
오케이.
Here we are. I am eager to discover what remarkable treasure could justify such an act of barbarity.
Extraordinary.
This chest is impenetrable. How is it possible? No one other than the bishop should be able to open it.
You open the chest with disconcerting ease, Holmes.
I've seen and heard quite enough. This time you won't stop me.
Catch him, Watson.
What the? But why?
Run, Watson. Hurry.
뭔데 뭐길래? 야 나도 좀 알자. 나 플레이어인데.
He's escaped. I hope that your motivations are founded, Holmes. I don't much like skirting around the edges of the law like this.
It is annoying. Let's leave without delay.
What have you found in the chest, Holmes? What in there is so precious for these men to commit such terrible acts?
The Reverend was telling the truth. Nothing important was locked inside the chest, apart from a few religious items which are hardly worth stealing.
So, we haven't made any headway. Perhaps the police will.
By the time the police arrive, we shall be a long way from here, Watson. We are leaving.
뭔데 그래? 들어있는 게. 책, 십자가, 책. 진짜 아무것도 없네.
What should we do?
Let us return.
Return to
What should we do?
Let us return.
베이커 스트리트 이메일 사용할 수 없습니다. 예?
What should we do?
Let us return to Baker Street as
베이커 스트리트 곧 돌아가자고. 그럴까?
We have crossed London at a breakneck speed. We could have knocked someone over, and naturally I had to pay the cabbie out of my own pocket.
Watson, stop complaining. We have to analyze the clues found at the bishop's house.
분서를 분석해봐야겠어. 어떻게 분석하는데? 돌?
This fragment of stone is very smooth, and it seems to be of a peculiar quality. I shall have to strip it with one of my products. I can see something. I can see...
도구 중 하나 뜯어낸다고? 핀셋, 핀셋.
No, I can't do that.
아니야?
No, I can't do that. No, I can't do that. I can see some... No, I can't do that.
메스?
No, I can't do that.
아시드?
I can see something.
I can see something.
No, I can't do that. No, I can't do that.
뭘 자꾸
This
만지는데?
stone is granite, covered in black paint.
끝이야? 어우.
No, I can't do that. Black and damp earth under the nail. Interesting.
축축하고 검은색 크기라면은 점토?
Tooth marks, rather deep ones. I'd say of incisors and a canine. Tooth marks. Fragments of skin. A phalanx. This finger wasn't cut off. It was ripped off. Fragments of skin. Tooth mark. No, I can't do that. No, I can't do that.
염산으로
I can't do that. Fragments of... Fragments. Tooth marks. I haven't finished my analysis. I can't do that. I can't do that.
Bite marks on this severed finger. I am afraid of the significance.
The thieves didn't get what they wanted. When they were faced with the bishop's refusal to cooperate, one of the gang shook his finger at him to indicate that he was responsible for his unfortunate state.
And the poor man, whose head was the only part of him not bound by ropes, bit the finger violently enough to sever it. An uncommonly savage act.
Watson, I am certain that when we have explained the reasons behind this sudden bestiality, we will have revealed a larger part of the mystery. I have cut a small piece off the rope. That should be enough. I can't do that. I can't do that. A lot of fragments of black stone are wedged into this rope. Their color seems unnatural, but they are too small for me to examine them. These small stones resemble the pieces found in the footprints at the bishop's house. Granite, painted black. Black and damp earth. I must compare the samples of earth that I found. This rope is only worn on one side. There is something written on this scalpel. I can't do that. I can't do that. Ah, I can make out WCCH. What do the initials stand for? How many hospitals are there in the Whitechapel area, Watson?
If we count public dispensaries, enough to keep us busy for an entire month. Did this scalpel come from a hospital?
Yes, as the initials WCCH engraved upon it show us. We must think on how best to deal with this. We do not have the time to investigate every hospital in Whitechapel. I must compare the and if I mixed this earth with another substance, I can't do that. Now it must all be stirred. I can't do that. I can see something. I can see. The samples of earth taken from beneath the fingernail and from the ropes originate from the same place.
How do you know?
It took just a little water to analyze the consistency. The soil has retained its moisture, even though there hasn't been rain in London for over a week.
This soil could come from the bank of a river, or somewhere where the evaporation is slower. A mine, perhaps, or a trench.
The banks of the Thames are clay soil, unlike our samples, so we can rule that out. The nearest mines are 12 miles away, so I would rule that out also. I would therefore conclude your last theory to be nearer the mark.
A trench?
A pit. Watson, bring me your register of the London hospitals.
Studying the scalpel has given you an idea, then?
Indeed.
I'll get it.
Have you found your...
Here is where I write my stories about Holmes's cases. And I've... Female anatomy. Hospitals and I have found my book.
Good. Put it on the work table, will you?
I have found...
Good.
Holmes's home. I have good. I have good.
작업대가 여기니? 혹시? 작업대가 어디야?
Read the paper, Holmes.
이거 맞고요.
And this is how my
고교 친구였어? 이거 어디야? 침시장, 분장대. 작업대가 아무리 봐도 여긴데.
I have
Good. Put it on the work table, will you?
워크 테이블. 작업대가 어디냐고. 왜 그지 같은 거.
Here is the section showing Whitechapel. I made several notations on these pages during our investigation into the Ripper, which might prove useful. All we need to do is to find a hospital or a public dispensary near a location where pits have been dug and black granite has been used.
It's simplicity itself. I haven't finished my analysis.
이걸 맞추지 못했다고?
I need some.
한쪽 면만 다이마이스였다. 어떻게 다이마이처럼 만들어줘? 말이 되는 소리지. 항상 같은 쪽만 사용했고 구덩이 우물, 강둑, 구덩이에서 나온 것이다. 검색으로 칠해준 황화감 조각. 비석? 이건 좀 더 생각해봐야겠다. 이게 맞겠지? 비석? 병원의 비석? 비석? 구덩이 흙과 돌덩어리는 근처 보석덩이 화가줄은 모은 거 밑에 보낼 수 있었다. 구덩 보냈어.
Now I can make the right decision. I haven't finished my analysis. I haven't finished my analysis. I need some. No, it is. I can analyze the chemical. I can analyze the chemical composition of a substance here.
하면 안 될까? 왜 안 하는 거야?
I haven't finished my. I can analyze the chemical composition of a substance here.
올바른 추리를 해보세요. 올바른 추리를 해.
I haven't finished my analysis.
분석을 마치지 못했어. 분석하자 보니까.
I haven't.
아니까 분석.
I can analyze the chemical composition of a substance here.
화학? 이거
No. No.
화줄도 아니고 메스?
No.
점토?
No. It is.
뭘 해야 되는데? 가지고 있는 거라고 플라스크, 화학, 밧줄, 칼, 지문. 설마 이거야? 리오리? 시험관에 액체를 넣으세요. 액체의 특성을 알아내려면 모든 활성제를 사용해야 합니다.
I must analyze the clue.
알비알비. 잠깐만, 다시 한 번만. 독두개, 초록색 하나, 두 개. 독두개, 하나, 뭐였지? 근육 자극제라고? 근육 자극제?
I haven't finished my...
아니 썩을 근육 자극제고 사용하기 버블 2개, 3개 버블 2개, 3개 피부 조직 렌즈
Poison, and apparently very virulent.
광기에 가까운 공격수를 유발, 심장 발작으로 인한 사망. 그래서 자기 팔뚝을 물어뜯었구만.
Poison. Discreet, efficient, and only detectable via a thorough post-mortem.
Have you been able to isolate the active components, Holmes?
Not with any certainty. This toxic substance surpasses my own knowledge in the field. It is without doubt the work of an expert chemist.
전문적인 화학자라고?
A chemist and a criminal.
As you say, please find my monograph on poisoners of the last 30 years.
셔틀 많이 하네 우리 왔으니까. 아까 저건 여성 해부학이었어.
General practitioner.
안에 아무것도 없잖아. 분장. 분장에 관련된 것도 있을 것 같아. 여기 위에 있으려나? 이건가?
According to these documents, Hans Schielmann, known as the Rat Killer, was considered the greatest specialist in chemical poison in the world.
Is he at liberty?
Happily, no. He has been held in the high-security wing of London's Westgate prison for many years now.
Then he cannot be the one who concocted the poison.
Don't dismiss him too quickly, Watson. According to Scotland Yard, the man is exceptionally intelligent. For the greatest criminals, prison is but a mere obstacle. Let's plan a little visit to see Mr. Schielmann tomorrow. I haven't finished my analysis.
The public dispensary number 4661. It's just opposite the Whitechapel Street Cemetery.
Yes, Watson. The murderer with the missing finger must work in the cemetery, or at least visit it. He could have taken a rope, one of the type they use to lower the coffins into the graves. The granite is minute particles of tombstone.
And he only had to cross the road to steal a scalpel from the dispensary opposite.
Let us look at our... I cannot leave...
왜 이대로 붙여놔줘? 같이 잡아야 될 거 아니야? 다 했지.
Let us look at our...
상황판. 손가락. 죽유는 가해자의 손가락 자기로 묻었다. 미치고 있다. 교도소. 플라스크와 함께 관계를 유명한 독이 담겼다. 살인범들은 관계를 유발하는 독을 갖고 있었다. 상단에 피가 조금 남아있다. 내용물을 마시겠다.
Perfect. Well done, Watson. Our board is finished. It confirms that the bishop's murderers work for one person, who, amongst other things, possesses a very sophisticated poison. They therefore act for someone more educated than themselves. You remember Wiggins and his gang, the Baker Street irregulars?
Yes, the street urchins, whom you employ upon occasion, and Wiggins is their leader.
Yes. Well, I have hired their services again. I have instructed them to find out the address of the bishop's nephew.
I think he's here.
Hello, Mr. Holmes.
Wiggins, my young friend, have you found the information for which the good Dr. Watson is going to pay you?
Yes, Mr. Holmes, it was easy.
Very well, I understand. Here are a few pennies.
Thanks, Dr. Watson. The man you're looking for lives near Kensington.
Does he live alone?
Yes, but he rents a room for an old lady.
Did she see you?
No, Mr. Holmes, no one saw me.
Perfect. Watson, give our young friend another shilling as a reward for his discretion.
Here we go again. But of course...
게임도 그렇고 드라마도 그렇고 왜 이렇게
I'm falling asleep, Holmes. Aren't you tired?
No, I have an exceptional constitution. I can't remember ever having been fatigued by work. Idleness, on the other hand, exhausts me completely. Go to bed, Watson. The night will be short. We leave at dawn.
blah blah blah.
Wow, this is a real adventure. It's exciting. I like it better than made-up stories. I want to know what happens next. Keep reading. I'm going to.
갑자기 I'm going to
Ah, I want to listen to.
listen to. 갑자기
My
맵을
readers must excuse me if I do not describe in full detail here the terrible images which haunted me that night.
I had a sense that something extraordinary would take place, but I was scarcely prepared for the reality of it.
Good morning, Holmes. Did you get any rest?
I did not attempt to sleep.
Have you managed to come to any conclusions?
I think that we might follow 3 trails. We can visit Whitechapel to try to discover the identity of the murderers by making inquiries at Dispensary 4661 and at the Whitechapel Street Cemetery.
The poison trail seems more important to me. We should perhaps go to Westgate Prison first to see Hans Schielman.
Yes, and let us not forget the bishop's irascible nephew, whose address we now have, thanks to my Baker Street irregulars. I have located each place on our map of London.
Holmes, let me remind you that we still have not been officially instructed to investigate this affair.
Ah, well, we will just have to hide that small detail.
small detail. 자, 가봅시다. 화이트채플 켄싱턴 정원 교도소.
Westgate Prison.
왼쪽에서부터 오른쪽으로 갑시다.
Here we are at the famous Westgate Prison, one of the oldest and surest in the kingdom.
I've heard that it is soon going to be demolished. Don't you find it strange that it still houses criminals as dangerous as Hans Schielman?
There's nothing strange about it, Watson. The name of this prison is linked with numerous failed escape attempts. As long as it stands, the criminals will fear it.
따로 실패.
Good morning, gentlemen. Are you expected?
No, but we wish to meet with one of your prisoners, Hans Schielmann.
I'm afraid that at the moment that is impossible. Access to the cells is controlled strictly. You can't go there without permission from the director.
Then would you be so good as to announce us? I am Sherlock Holmes, and this is Dr. Watson.
The famous Holmes and Watson. What an honour. My name is Brighton. Frank Brighton. I'm afraid I can't announce you. I'm not allowed to leave my post, under any circumstances. But I'm sure that the director won't refuse to see you, even without an appointment. Do you see the corridor behind the reception? Follow it to the secretary's office. You'll find him there.
Thank you, Warden Brighton. One last thing. Hans Schielmann received any visits lately?
None. And I'm sure because I've dealt with receiving visitors for several weeks now. I volunteered because it's a calm post to be in. We don't get many visitors and it gives me time to write. Just like you, Dr. Watson. I enjoy literature and the...
Very good. Thank you.
That was very impolite, Holmes. That man admires our work. You could have given him...
Another time. Let's go and meet the director of the prison.
셜록 홈즈가 약간 자기 이름 막 내세우는 거 좋아하는 것 같은데요.
Closed.
Sorry, but this area is prohibited without a pass. Please leave.
We must see the...
교도소장이 어디 있는데?
Closed.
다 열어보는 거보다는 맨 끝에 하나?
Closed.
이쪽인가? 이름 적혀져 있지 않을까? 누구 뭐라고?
Let us go to the sec...
사무실이 어디야? 아니
Closed.
체크
Staff cloakroom.
체크룸이 무슨 체크룸이지?
the locker room. This is...
탈의실이야? 하이 시큐리티 레벨 로우 시큐리티 레벨
This is the entrance to the ordinary prisoner's cell.
Sorry, sirs.
Closed. Locked. I can feel a drop. Closed.
We must see the prison director quickly.
아니 교도소장이 비서실장을 지나가야 된다면
Let us go to the sec...
여기야? 이건 안쪽이죠? 찾았다.
Good morning, miss.
Oh, excuse me, I dropped off. Good morning, gentlemen. What can I do for you?
I am Sherlock Holmes, and this is Dr. Watson. We would like to talk to the director.
I'll just go and see if he can receive you.
여쭤보도록 하겠습니다.
Tiredness, pale face, stiffness. I believe that the young lady is expecting a happy event.
It would seem so.
뒤져볼까요?
This charming secretary is Miss Jenny Patterson.
제니 페트러스. 뭐야? 순간이 뭐야?
This small rack is for urgent letters to be given immediately to the director.
좀 보면 안 되냐? 레트들.
This
Hot tea. Hot tea.
strange.
I'm delighted to meet you, Mr. Holmes. I am Paul Patterson, director of this establishment. You wish to talk to me? I hope this unexpected visit isn't to announce bad news.
No, do not worry. We are investigating an affair of the highest importance, one which could potentially affect the security of the kingdom. Therefore, it is imperative that we interview one of your prisoners, Hans Schielmann.
Hans, the rat killer? He's been in here for a long while now, and he's had no contact with the outside. How could he be involved in such an affair?
That is what we would like to find out.
And you have been commissioned by Scotland Yard?
Evidently.
언제? 또 사기치고 앉았네.
Very well. I have complete confidence in you, Mr. Holmes. I will draw up a pass that you should give to Warden James in the guard room. He will show you to the cells.
Thank you, Director.
Keep me informed of your progress. And if there is anything else, don't hesitate to let me know.
이래서 여러분 출세해야
We shall certainly do so.
Miss Patterson, you have the same name as the director. Are you related?
Come, Watson. Anyone who might have made the slightest study of anthropology would have noted the similarities between the young lady and her father.
Mr. Holmes is right, I am his daughter, but he doesn't like to talk about it. I think he's afraid of being accused of favoritism.
I'm sure it was your qualities alone which secured you this position, miss.
If you must try out your powers of seduction, then what do you say about using them on the rat killer? Goodbye, miss.
Goodbye, gentlemen.
Sorry, but this area is...
Leads to the high security area. Closed.
Let's go to the high...
뭐야? 특수부양구역 아니었어?
Closed.
특수 높은 보양구역이 아닌가?
Closed.
또 이거 이 친구한테 보여주면 되나?
Sorry, sirs.
Closed.
Closed. 특수보양구역인데
This is the cleaning materials. Closed.
Ah, you've got a pass for the high security area. It's the door at the end. Go ahead.
My name is Peter James, Chief Warden, and this is Deputy Warden O'Sullivan.
I imagine I will find Hans Schielmann behind these bars in the basement.
Yes, the high security cells are down there.
Is this the only access?
Yes, there was a second door at the end of the main hall, but it's been blocked up as a security measure.
Thank you, Chief Warden.
At your service. If you require further information, Warden Mackenzie will help you. He's at his post in the basement.
Tell me about the prisoners, Warden James.
We only have a few. As you might be aware, the days of this place are numbered. Therefore, we no longer receive new prisoners. Those who are already here are among the most dangerous in London. We have 3 at the moment. Hans the Rat Killer and the Flint Brothers.
The Flint Brothers?
Yes, 2 rather simple-minded maniacs who detest one another despite their relation. They massacred their parents and decapitated their neighbours. It took more than 9 policemen to overpower them.
Mr. Holmes, I am a huge admirer of yours. I have followed all your cases and successes with the greatest interest.
What enthusiasm! Have you ever thought of a career in the police force?
Have I thought about it? It's my dream. And I'm going to try my chance once this establishment closes down. I'm studying hard for the examination to get into police school.
See you later, Mr. Holmes.
The guards must spend... Here's the famous high-security area.
Warden Mackenzie, at your service, sir.
Good morning, Warden. I have a pass which allows me to speak with prisoner Hans.
Very well. It is the cell at the end to your left. I'd advise you to walk in the middle of the corridor.
Hans Schielman, I require some information from you.
So, who do we have here? The celebrated Sherlock Holmes himself. Do you know that for all the time I have spent rotting in here, you are my first and only visitor? I think this is cause for celebration. A confrontation between 2 geniuses, 2 extraordinary minds.
I am afraid that you are not quite as great a chemist as you believe you are, Mr. Schielman. I will not say that you never were. No, it was certainly true once. But you see, while you are whiling away your days in here, it appears that someone on the outside is at the point of surpassing you, if that is not already the case.
Yes, I heard about that. A chemical poison that eats away at the flesh and provokes hysteria. I recognize talent when I see it, but it's only a matter of time before I win back my laurels, believe me.
What can you tell me?
That depends on what you can bring to me.
What do you want?
Do you know why I am treated so harshly? For my meals, I am given nothing but a hunk of bread. And even then, not just any sort.
Get to the point.
Never interrupt me! Where was I? Oh yes, the bread. Did you know that with a little rye yeast, a pinch of moss, certain cockroach secretions, just enough light and damp, with a few other ingredients that I will keep quiet about, I succeeded in poisoning half the staff here. Unfortunately, a little something was omitted, which would have made the results fatal. Instead, it merely caused acute attacks of stress and powerful hallucinations. Even so, I got a great laugh out of watching them cry like babies when they saw their most primitive fears materializing before them.
You are a monster, Mr. Schielman.
Thank you.
It wasn't a compliment.
But of course it was! You others, you ordinary, narrow-minded people, you are afraid of anything that you cannot comprehend. You call me a monster because what you find impossible to face is just the slightest fraction of my genius. If By monster, you mean someone who is nothing like you. Then it is a compliment.
또라이 같다 진짜 얘.
What do you need?
Very little. Just something to write with. You see, my brain races like an engine with too many thoughts. I see them crackle and explode into thousands of formulae right in front of me. What a torture not to be able to write them down. What a hell to see them vanish just as quickly as they appear to me. Just bring me something that I can write with.
That's all. That seems an easy enough request to fulfill.
But listen, I don't want the vulgar inkwell and the pigeon's feather. No, I need material fit for my talent. I want my ink pen. Bring it to me, and I will be happy to pass on to you a little of my knowledge of modern chemistry.
Where is it?
It was confiscated upon my arrival here. I suppose it might be in my locker, in the locker room. Leave me now, and don't come back without my ink pen. See you soon.
아무래도 진짜 또라이 같은데. 그래놓고 얘는 또 셜록 이 친구는 여기까지 와서 셜록하고 왔냐.
The locker room.
Closed.
예? 하긴 아무렇게나 막 열어주진 않겠지.
I'm glad to have been of service.
Can you tell me where I might find the locker room?
In the corridor that leads to the director's office. That's where the prisoners' civilian stuff is held. But seeing the length of their sentences, they've little chance of ever getting it back.
Can you open the locker room for us? We would like to inspect Shieldman's personal items.
No, Mr. Holmes. I'm not responsible for that. You will find the keys in the secretary's office.
See you later, Miss.
또 뺑뺑이를 써볼 텐데.
Closed. Closed.
잠깐만 어디였지? 기억이 안 나네. 끝이었나? 열쇠 주세요.
Miss, may we borrow the keys to the locker room?
You will need authorization from the director to open that door. If you wait a moment, then I will inform him.
We will wait, thank you.
Anything new, Mr. Holmes? Mr. Holmes, have you been able to get what you wanted from our lodger?
Not yet. We must first cast light upon a crucial point, and for that we require your help again.
What can I do?
What can I do?
We need to examine Shieldman's civilian clothing.
Very well, but be extremely careful.
What do you mean?
In that madman's compartment, you will find a strange little coded case which refused point blank to open when he was incarcerated. We did try to force it, but without success.
Didn't you ask the expert?
Of course we did. Experts from Scotland Yard came to examine it, but they came to the conclusion that it was better that the case remained shut than tamper with it too much.
I see. They were afraid that some poison or other might escape if it was opened.
Exactly. Bear in mind that this man is an evil genius, a master poisoner, and that his poisons are never ordinary. Here's the key to the locker room. I give you the authorization to open it.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Patterson.
Miss Patterson,
좋아, 좋아.
the guards are still waiting for you to put up the duty list. Do it as soon as possible. Without it, the changing of the guard cannot take place. Or had you forgotten?
Dry your tears, miss. I'm certain that your father didn't mean to hurt you.
Mr. Watson, I can't put up the duty list. And when he finds out, he'll be furious.
Why can't you?
It's in my locker, in the cloakroom, and I've lost the key.
Your aunt.
Say no more, Holmes. As you keep repeating, time is against us. Let's go and look at the things in the rat killer's locker.
아까 소문에 봐서는 뼈 안에 있지 않을까 싶습니다만.
Closed.
열쇠가 되지 않았어? 이게 걔거구만.
Here is the locker of our friend, Hans, the mad scientist.
숟가락.
Oh, what a jumble!
A paper knife. Blotting paper. This solid box.
이거 그거 아니야? 화학 기호식 아니야? 화학?
Blotting paper.
왜 여기만 이렇게 저기만 저렇게 되는 게 아니네? 근데 안 되는 것도 있고 되는 것도 있네? 열어야 될 것 같긴 한데. 일곱 개. 여덟 줄. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10.
Blotting paper. I can't do that. Blotting paper. I can't do. I can't. I can't. Nothing of interest. Blotting paper. Blotting paper. Blotting paper. This cannot be a simple coincidence. I can't. I can't do that. I can't do that.
한 두 개쯤 더 있을 것 같긴 한데.
I can't do that.
또 구멍 없나? 이게 다야? CABRHS
I can't. I can't. I can't. I can't do that. I can't.
섞거나 설마?
I can't.
일단 구멍은 다 뚫린 것 같고.
I can't. A poem in Hans's handwriting. I can't do that.
CHBR HS.
Perfect.
What is written on that note, Holmes?
Later, Watson, later. We can give Hans.
What should we do?
We can give Hans.
한스에게 펜을 줄 수 있겠어. 다른 거 없나? 열쇠 없나? 봅시다.
What a bunch of incompetents. Oh, if I was as unprofessional as that, there would be murderers running all over the town.
What's the matter? Are you a patient of Dr. Watson?
Very amusing.
I was going on about the dry cleaners in Westgate Street. They've just delivered my ceremonial uniform in the middle of my duty, when I've told them 1,000 times not to bring it until after 6 in the evening.
A ceremonial uniform? You've been promoted?
No, and that's not about to happen. No, I've been invited to a wedding. I mean, I hope to be. I'm in trouble. If the director sees that I've left my post, I'll be sacked without pay.
Give it to me, Warden Brighton. I'll take care of it for you.
Really? Thanks a lot. Here's the key to the cloakroom and that of my locker. I'm really grateful, Mr. Holmes.
What have you got in mind, Holmes? You're not doing this out of kindness, are you?
No, out of curiosity. We will be able to access the cloakroom with these keys.
머리 좀 통하나? 통하는 게 한다.
Staff cloak. Closed. Here is Brighton. Here is
Brighton.
Closed. I need something. Bicarbonate of soda. Brighton must have an upset stomach, caused by stress without a doubt. The name on the key is Jenny Patterson. That is interesting. Miss Patterson's locker. Closed. Let us examine Miss Patterson's locker.
The lock on this box is rather sophisticated.
Incredible. Is Jenny hiding something?
빨간색은 빨간색이랑 맞아야 되는 건가?
It's really very clever. Little Jenny is astonishing.
짱맞추기인데 뭐가
Here is the famous... A letter from Brighton to Jenny. Barely literate.
Apparently, Jenny is carrying Brighton's child, and it seems that Jenny's father, the director, is unaware of this.
A locket, sealing the relation between Jenny and Warden Brighton. Decidedly, this boy is not a great poet.
What should we do?
We can give...
Sorry, Mr. Holmes, you can't go into the basement for the moment.
For what reason?
The door has locked itself automatically. You must enter a new security code.
Do it, then.
Miss Patterson hasn't put up the guard duty list yet. Without that information, we don't know who's authorised to take note of the new code.
So Mackenzie is locked in the high security zone.
Yes, but don't worry about him. He's trained for this sort of dysfunction.
Why not ask the director to take note of the code and open the door?
He isn't allowed to, and I doubt that he would run the risk of going against the orders of the administration centre. Anyway, the bars in the high security section are joined to the alarm system, which is in that room. We only need to sound it to unblock, but you see we can't do that now.
We'll try to find the duty list, Warden James.
We have found Chief Warden James's duty list.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Holmes. Let's see. O'Sullivan, it's you who takes over from Mackenzie. Take note of the code, please, and unblock the door.
At once, Chief. Ah, Mr. Holmes, could I ask you for a favour?
Please do.
I think I can say on behalf of all the staff that we would be honoured if you would care to write something in our guest book.
With pleasure, O'Sullivan. You seem worn out, O'Sullivan. A good night's sleep would do you good.
A good night's sleep would do me good. You're right, Mr. Holmes.
Is something worrying you?
As you know, Westgate Prison will soon be demolished, and I'm spending most of my nights studying for my exam to join the police. You understand, I have to think about my future. So sleep isn't a priority at the moment.
Scotland Yard is always looking for young, competent and motivated men. Would a letter of recommendation from me allow you to get some sleep?
What? A letter from Mr. Sherlock Holmes recommending me for Scotland Yard? Are you quite serious?
Completely serious, my young friend. May I use this writing paper? The one on your desk.
1,000 thanks, Mr. Holmes. 1,000 thanks.
It is addressed to Inspector Baines, a good friend of mine. There's no need to remind you that it must be opened only by the person to whom it is addressed.
Yes, of course. I'll give it to him personally. Thank you again, Mr. Holmes. At your service.
It is the guards. It is the guard. This device.
Well,
펜 가져와서 펜.
What do you need?
very little. What a torture.
That's all.
At least
Where is it?
it was See you. Well,
You have what you wanted. Your precious pen.
You seem annoyed, Mr. Holmes. I would even go so far as to say terribly worried.
Why should you care, Mr. Shielman? Let's talk about that poison.
I am not talking about you in the grip of natural emotions found in ordinary people who are confronted by the inexplicable. But as for Mr. Holmes, you are embarrassed, aren't you? Are you hiding something?
That is enough, Shielman.
You have kept your word. Therefore, I will keep mine. At this moment, the poison which so interests you isn't finished yet. Its maker is encountering great difficulties in attaining the desired results.
What is the end result?
Now, Mr. Holmes, the end result of any science, as Descartes once said, to become the master and owner of nature. Here we are talking about human nature, of course. And the creator's problem isn't so much the mixture as the durability of his creation.
What do you mean?
You see, this poison was made using rare but very volatile short-living compounds, which means that it is only possible to produce small quantities, which most importantly do not keep for a long time. Conceiving such a product in a laboratory especially built for the purpose could be achieved by any good chemist. But recopying this alchemy on another scale and keeping it ready at any moment, observing the particular conservation and storing conditions that a substance of this type requires, well, that would need a genius. I doubt if the creator of this mixture would be capable.
And you would be, of course.
Of course.
Luckily, you are going to spend the rest of your life in prison.
Luck is cyclical. It always comes around again, sooner or later. As far as I am concerned, I have the feeling that the cycle is going to be very short.
Holmes, it sounds to me as though this Shielman is implying that an escape attempt will be made.
Yes, we must go and warn the director.
It is out of the question that your bastard is named Patterson. Very well. You refuse to reveal the father to me? Well, then go and join him. I'm not stopping you.
I can't.
Director, you will have to postpone this small family reunion. We believe that a serious scheme is afoot. We must act without delay.
You're not thinking of...
Yes. Shielman's words leave no room for doubt. It seems that he is planning an escape attempt. We strongly advise you to search his cell.
Do you really believe that he's hiding something? Because I must make an official report and have a legitimate reason for doing a search.
Director, if this prison is still in operation, it is solely because of its reputation. Think of the consequences of an escape. It would be closed at once. And what post do you imagine would be offered to the person deemed responsible?
You're right. No one will escape from Westgate under Patterson. I will order an immediate search of Mr. Shielman's cell.
Chief Warden James reporting. The search of prisoner Hans Shielman's cell has been carried out. No suspicious items were found.
Thank you, Chief James. I feel better now. Without wishing to offend you, Mr. Holmes, I am glad that you were mistaken.
If I'm not mistaken, we've nothing more to do here. Shall we go, Holmes?
There's just one more thing for me to see, Watson.
One more thing.
What's that?
Mr. Holmes, sorry to interrupt you, but Miss Jenny wishes to see you alone. She's waiting for you in her office.
This, Watson.
How did you know?
Wait for me in the guards' room. I won't be long.
What an extraordinary gentleman that Sherlock Holmes is. You must have had lots of adventures with him.
Oh, yes, dozens.
Thought he was infallible, but there wasn't anything out of the way in the rat killer's cell. Could he have been mistaken?
I must admit...
Warden Brighton, in my office immediately. That's an order.
The director seems furious.
Yes, it must be important for him to order Brighton to leave his post.
I wouldn't want to be in his shoes.
Did you hear that?
Yes, that's not normal. I've never heard Flint shout like that.
But why doesn't O'Sullivan sound the alarm?
Follow me, Mackenzie. Let's go and have a look.
I'll come with you.
No, Dr. Watson, you're not allowed in. Wait for me here.
Very well.
Hey, but the grill is blocked, Chief.
We've been locked in. And that smoke, it's coming from below. O'Sullivan, can you hear us?
Sully, are you alive? Answer us, Sully.
What's going on? Can I help you?
Sound the alarm in the guards room. That should unblock the door. Be quick. O'Sullivan might be in danger.
It doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
Locked.
Hey, what are you waiting for to sound the alarm, Doctor?
It's impossible. It's been damaged. I'll run and warn the director.
No, Doctor. Our priority is to save O'Sullivan. Go ahead through the visitors' corridor and see if he answers your call.
Very well.
Take the keys. They're in our room.
Locked.
Useless! This door is blocked by the timer, but not the one below. Give...
It...
Useless! This door is blocked by...
주면은 이거 탈옥감인데 이거.
I've got the keys, Doctor. Thank you.
Follow me, Watson. We must repair the alarm.
Finally! There you are, Holmes.
Follow me, Watson.
We must get...
I'm going to turn on the system. Watson, you make sure of the contact.
I hope that this isn't dangerous. It works.
Perfect.
It's open. Let's go down.
Be careful. From what your colleague said, the flints are out.
We are trained for this sort of situation. And we're armed. Come and help us, Watson.
왓슨이? 셔틀이야 뭐야?
Everything is back to normal. Thank you for your help, gentlemen.
It was a pleasure.
But where is O'Sullivan?
He's no longer here. He must have gone out through the visitor's entrance.
Yes, and he must be pleased to have gotten out of the basement.
Good. We must now check all the cells. It's the procedure in case of an alarm.
We'll come and help you.
You are evidently fond of wasting time, my dear fellow. Rejoin me at the reception when you've finished.
탈옥 각인데 이거. 보자.
He's fine where he is, under the cover, still.
How can he sleep with all this noise?
I'll admit it's not normal. Perhaps the smoke has poisoned him. I had better take a look.
Be careful, Doctor. He is dangerous.
O'Sullivan!
It's impossible. He was with us only a few moments ago. Or else...
Or else it wasn't O'Sullivan.
My God, he's escaped! The rat killer has escaped!
Ah, Holmes, there you are.
Not at all, my dear fellow. Quite the...
Why the devil have you brought me behind the prison?
We have an appointment, Watson.
What should we do next? What do you think, Holmes?
Look who is waiting for us.
Shieldman! I'll go back and alert the guards.
Calm down. He's harmless.
But what is he doing here? Why hasn't he run away?
Because I asked him not to.
Are you telling me that you helped him to escape?
Quite so, as he wouldn't have been able to do so alone.
But how? And why? He's a dangerous madman. Holmes, you've made me an accomplice in this escape. You owe me some explanation.
And you will have them. But my priority for the moment is to remove our new friend to a safe place. I won't be long, but I must go alone. I'll rejoin you later. Just give me your next destination.
Very well. I suppose you know what you're doing.
How could you doubt it? Here, take the notes. They will help you when you write up the account of our visit to Westgate. So, where do I find you?
The next step of our invest...
Good. Go.
Here we are in the heart of Whitechapel. Keep an eye on your wallet, Holmes. This area is the highest for pickpockets in all of the kingdom.
Don't worry about my wallet, Watson. It would be easier to move Big Ben than to steal from me.
Or to borrow a shilling from you.
Amusing, Watson. Really very amusing. Can we move on to more serious matters?
I'm listening, Holmes.
하면할수록 출력품제가 쌍양치네. 범죄 저지르고 맨날 돈 꾸고 친구 면목이 있네요. 어디로 가야 하나?
Here's the public dispensary that we're looking for.
너무 사람한테 관심이 없는 거 아니야, 이 사람들?
this stove is hardly working. That would explain the damp around here.
Incredible. My colleague could at least keep a good fire going for his patients. Good day. Please excuse us. Oh, Grant, is it you?
Yes, but wait a moment. Watson, it's been years. Since the Faculty of Medicine, if my memory serves me right.
Yes, we were young and ambitious. I didn't expect to find you here. I thought you had gone to America.
No. I find that I prefer the filth here, amputating gangrenous legs.
Ah.
I'm joking, Watson. Unfortunately, I was unable to leave for Washington. I had to give up surgery. So instead, I crouched down in this rat hole, rubbing shoulders with the world's misery.
Grant, treating those in need is a noble calling. You underestimate the importance of your work.
If you say so. It's true that in the beginning I felt as you do, but as time goes by, the more this cursed area seems like hell. You think that nothing can get worse, and the next day you see that it can. Now famine has hit these poor wretches.
One can't always do as one might prefer when one is a doctor.
Grant, I'd like to introduce you to Sherlock Holmes.
Pleased to meet you. Well, no one comes here by chance, therefore I imagine that you need something in particular. How can I help you?
Dr. Grant, we are in possession of a scalpel which was found in an unusual location. Does it come from your dispensary, as we believe?
From its mark, I'd say it was stolen from us. A lot of things disappear from here, you understand. Life is hard in Whitechapel. When the staff find a way of adding to their salary, they rarely hesitate to do so.
Thank you, Doctor. Farewell, Doctor.
See you.
I suggest that we...
Closed. Like all the sick,
Not surprising, Holmes. This person is too weak.
슬픈에 영양실조라니. 이동여지가 어디 있나?
I suggest that we go to the cemetery.
Buy my flowers, my lord, for your dear departed. Buy my flowers.
This cemetery is the very image of Whitechapel. Sinister, frightening, and ill-kept. It's a terrible place for one's final rest.
At least hunger no longer gnaws at them. Let us see if the elements analyzed in Baker Street and this cemetery have something in common.
갑자기 현실갱이.
This rope is only worn on one side. This rope is the rope used to tie up the Bishop of Knightsbridge came from this cemetery. It is only worn on the one side because it is used to lower coffins into graves. This shovel belongs to the cemetery workers.
전단지? 포도 먹는 고릴라? 포도 먹는 고릴라?
A leaflet for the soup kitchen. This leaflet is dated for the day after tomorrow. The tickets for the soup kitchen are given out on the same day. Only somebody who works there could have written on it. Closed. Let us see if the elements analyzed in Baker Street and this cemetery have something in common. Granite. These stones are of the same granite. These stones are of the same granite. Black paint. The same black paint covers these stones. This black painted stone is identical to the fragments found in the rope which we analyzed at Baker Street and in the footprints of the Bishop of Knightsbridge's murderers. This must be the gravedigger's cabin.
Well, judging by the state of this place, they don't work very often.
This must be...
Well, judging by the... Let's look for a mobile...
Let us see if the elements analyzed in Baker... Earth freshly turned over, still damp. Black and damp earth. This dark, damp earth is the same type as that which was found at the Bishop of Knightsbridge's home.
It came from a grave, then. Oh, what a lovely thought.
Everything coincides, Watson. The fragments of granite at the bishop's home came from the tombstones of this cemetery.
As well as the rope that was used to restrain the poor man. One of those used to lower the coffins.
I can think of only two reasons why anyone should happen to spend a great deal of time in a cemetery. Either he is at rest here, or he works here. At least one of the bishop's murderers is employed here.
A shame. If he was at rest here, it would have made our job easier.
I'm starving.
Holmes, the man from the soup kitchen isn't only in voluntary service. Look.
A money game.
Oi, oi! We're giving out free soup after Mass, right here. Don't hesitate. Come get yours. All thanks to Prince Woodville's kind generosity. A ticket for a hot bowl of bacon soup.
Excuse me, my good fellow.
You don't look like the needy.
We're not here for the soup, we're merely passing through. But I would like to commend you for your good charity.
Nah, it's the Prince of Woodville who's the charitable one. All I'm doing is filling the bowls. For the first time ever in this area, someone's thinking of the poor people here. Look around you. At every street corner, you'll find someone giving out soup, just like me. I grew up here, and I can promise you, it's the first time the toffs have thought about us.
And no one tries to take advantage of this?
No, mister, that's not possible. You have to exchange a ticket against a bowl. The tickets have the day's date on them, and are handed out after Mass. That way no one can cheat. A bowl of good bacon soup isn't for you, gentlemen.
We're looking for two people called Grape Ape and Kurtz. Do you know them?
Can't you see I'm giving out soup? You again. You can't have any soup, you're too rich. It's for the poor, not the toffs.
And what would you say to relieving two toffs of their wallets by giving them a chance at dice?
With great pleasure. What do you want to bet?
Your ring against my friend's superb silver watch.
Holmes! I inherited this watch from my brother. It has a great sentimental value.
Watson, show your watch to our friend here.
Done. Make yourselves at home. All right, mister. First who gets 36 points wins.
운이 없구만. 호호.
Perfect.
Aren't you gonna leave me alone? Can't you see I'm busy?
We win.
Hey, not so fast. We'll play a game.
Out of the question. You have lost. You owe me your ring.
Oh, it means a lot to me, this ring. Me dad gave it me before he died. He choked on his own glass eye. Me mum didn't get over the shock of it, and she killed herself by smashing her head open with a wooden leg. And she'd only just heard that me sister, who's a prostitute, had caught an embarrassing disease that made all her hair fall out. And worse, our dog got run over when he...
As this ring holds such sentimental value for you, I will allow you to keep it. What would you say to exchanging that against some information about Grape Ape? That seems like a fair deal, don't you think?
Yeah. Grape Ape works with us. He usually deals with the tickets, but we haven't seen him for a few days.
Where is he usually to be found?
Well, last time I saw him, he was with his mates from the dispensary, them that deal with the morgue. Now, that's all I know.
It is quite good enough. Keep your ring, my good man, as a souvenir of your poor father.
A souvenir of me dad, me mum, me sister, and me dog.
One further thing. You said that Grape Ape's friends work at the morgue. Which morgue?
The morgue at the dispensary. I must say, they got a funny job. They wash the dead, dress them, cut their hair. They clean the blood off the floor, chase the rats, stamp on the cockroaches. Mister, I can tell ya, I prefer giving out soup.
There isn't a certain Kurtz amongst the employees.
Listen, we didn't play for info about the whole city. I'm not telling you anything else.
The dispensary has got its own morgue. Interesting.
Well, yeah, I've just told you so. It's the one that all the undertakers prefer. Think about it. It's just next to the cemetery.
Thank you, my good man. Goodbye.
Yeah.
다시 한번 영화실로 돌아가야겠구만. 아까 연주자 발품을 찾아 들어가야겠다. Love is no fun. Hey, brother.
How can I help you?
Tell me, Doctor, do you have a morgue in your dispensary?
Yes, it is the busiest place in the building.
We would like to see it.
The door at the far end. The one with the unpleasant smell.
Very good. Farewell, Doctor.
See you soon, perhaps. And take care of yourself.
Look, Holmes. A list of the recently dead. How sad.
I see names that have something in common.
스파나비?
I understand now why my colleague keeps quiet about his morgue. This place is a real mess.
Concentrate, Watson. We must look for clues about Grape Ape's friends.
시체야? 시체 저렇게 막 둬도 돼?
This is Kurtz's overall, so he really does work at the morgue. Strange that he left his overall here.
Holmes, this is Kurtz. We've just found one of the Bishop of Knightsbridge's murderers.
I need something. I need something.
Look at the state of the instruments. They've probably never been cleaned.
I need a small metal stem. Perfect. Two keys.
Well, well, this Kurtz was... We must find the place indicated with the cross on the map we found.
어디가 기준이려나? 기준이 어딘지 모르겠네. 울타리로 돼 있는데? 이거 뭐지 아니야? 아까 노지랑 똑같은 예쁘가 이거. 그치 노지. 오른쪽 아래가 있고 왼쪽에 성당. 저쪽에 집. 여기를 가르치네. 여기를 가르치고 있어.
Perfect. It's open. Here, this hut is on the map. Let us search it from top to bottom, Watson.
Oh, what a jumble.
Impossible to open it. Impossible. Here, this hut is... This shovel belongs... Impossible to... Look, this chest has been nailed to the floor. This box has been placed so that no one can move or open it. Look.
오줌 죽인다라. 부셔야겠구나.
Impossible. Look.
Bags filled with nails. There are a lot of them. Well, really.
무엇이 가득 잠긴.
I can see a large crack. I'll need something thin. I can't do... A hole was drilled a short while ago. There is a sack inside this hole. Let us see what is inside it.
은수저?
We are making headway.
This message confirms that we are on the right track.
Valuable objects. Valuable.
가져가자.
Bags filled with... Valuable...
야, 가격이 나오는 물건은 가져가야지.
Here, this hut is on the map.
아헤이, 이거. 연희에 남아서 2시간
How is it that there is no room in this cemetery?
Let us hope that the tree is still there.
Let's find the...
연희에 남으라.
Here is our tree. Let us examine the inscriptions. Sally and John. This design was the last to be done. Sally and John is engraved here as a symbol of their love.
We must find Sally and John's grave.
Yes, it must be there. I need something.
Need something. 살이 필요하겠구나.
This shovel belongs to the cemetery workers.
You frighten me, Holmes.
그래, 그리고 이제는 제 겁니다. 제가 마음대로 사용할 수 있는 겁니다.
This must be the grave. Dig quickly, Watson.
Very well, Holmes. Look, a metal box.
Metal box.
What do you think, Holmes?
안 먹어.
The lock on this box is rather sophisticated.
This box comes from a bank. The criminals must have held on to it after a hold-up. There we are. It is simplicity itself. This key must be important to be hidden here. A hammer covered in blood.
Holmes, there is someone in that hut.
I saw, Watson. Come, and keep your revolver at the ready, just in case.
These...
Open up. We're not the police. Do not be alarmed.
That's a strange way of reassuring someone. Holmes, they are children. My God, one of them is hurt.
What do you want? Don't come any closer. Are you the police?
Don't be afraid. I am a doctor. I'm going to look at your friend's wound.
Wait, Watson. I've got some questions to ask these children.
This is urgent, Holmes. In this filthy place, the risk of infection is very high, and the wound could get worse with every second lost.
The immediate danger for these children is not so much the wound as Mr. Fletcher.
Who?
Look at the wound, Watson. It's thin and precise. It was made by a sharp, well-kept blade. Any other blade, less well-kept, would have torn the tissue around it, and its size would be irregular.
So what does that imply?
In this area, who would take such great care with a blade? A butcher, of course. And the only butcher in the area is Samuel Fletcher, who at this moment is replacing a window that has been forced open. He's a man to hold grudges, as anyone around here will tell you.
The children are in danger.
A man as skillful with a knife as a butcher, and with a bad reputation to match, could easily strike a fatal blow by cutting the child's jugular. If he hasn't done it, it's surely because these little thieves broke into his shop at night to steal a piece of meat. The poor lighting in this area saved them. I can assure you that Mr. Fletcher has spent the day trying to trace these children, and if he finds them, wounds will be the least of their problems.
That's true. What do you want? Don't let the butcher find us.
Justice is sometimes harsh, young man. If the police hear about this breaking and entering, they will see Mr. Fletcher's side of the story.
No! Don't call the police. Please, mister. We don't want to end up in prison.
I'm looking for a certain Kurtz.
I can't tell you, mister.
In that case, I must take the side of justice. You and your brother are thieves.
All right, don't call the police. Kurtz is a dangerous madman. He's called the Colonel round here. I heard he was in the Boer War in Africa. He lives in Batty Street next to the wine shop. The way he smells, he must be a good customer.
Good. Watson, see to the wound. Never mind about the police.
We must protect these children from that butcher, Holmes.
It won't be necessary. I've had dealings with Samuel Fletcher before now. He's not the monster I've made him out to be. If he had wanted to kill them, he would have done so, even in dim light. By wounding the little thief, he wanted to warn him never to set foot in his shop again. Forget Mr. Fletcher, Watson.
You mean you lied to frighten those poor children?
Exactly. Clever, wasn't it?
Clever? 야, 니 소시오패스야, 얘. 이건 막 밟고 지나가고 말이야.
Well, mister, that's a mighty fine outfit you're wearing there. You stand out like a sore thumb, and that's no lie. Watch that you don't get it all dirtied up, but you'd be welcome to come back to my place. It's not far, and I'd sponge it down for you.
Don't go back to Johnny's place. You'll get malaria.
Thank you, madam. I'm certain that you would make a very good job of it. That will not be necessary, however. But your thought was a kind one.
We'd best be leaving now, sir.
Here, please accept this sovereign as a token of my gratitude for your concern.
Well, I never. Thank you. That's right generous of you, my lordship.
You are very welcome, madam.
Madam, he calls me. Bless my garters. What a gent.
If you're ready now, sir.
Yes, let us go.
What a remarkable man, the Prince Woodville, to talk to such a woman as though she was an equal.
Let's find Batty Street.
What do you think?
커튼 베티가 있는 지도가 이렇게 생겼구나. 왠지 좀 오른쪽에 있는 구역에 살 것 같은데. 베티가
Nothing of interest here.
I'm on the streets with my children, all
What should we do next?
I'm on the streets with my children.
They leave us to die like...
Bucks Row, where Polly Nichols met her death under the knife of the Ripper. Bucks Row. Bucks Row.
커튼 베티가 있는 와인상 옆에 이쪽인가?
Whitechapel Street. We're...
Queue up like everyone.
My husband can't pay the rent. We've got nowhere to go.
Burner Street.
아하, 찾기 힘들구만.
Batty Street. Batty Street. Batty Street. A wine and liquor cellar. Closed. Closed.
What do you think, Holmes?
와인상 옆에서 했어요. 여기인 건 알았고 여기인 건 알았는데 이제 뭘 어떻게 찾냐가 중요한 거죠. 자, 다시 한번 돌아봅시다. 우선 무섭던 걸 가지고
What do you think?
무슨 생각을 해야 하나. 나도 열쇠가 있구나. 그렇군요. 뭐야? 튕겼니? 아니 너 썩을. 아하이. 어? 어라라, 화면이 왜 이래요? 화면이 안 꽉 차네. 화면 사이즈가 왜 이래요? 갑자기? 아이고. 하지 뭐. 됐어. 블로그. 어디까지 했냐? 어디까지 적었냐?
Good day.
Yes? But wait a moment.
Yes, we were young.
No. I find that I prefer...
Holy shit.
Grant. What? Grant? Dr. Grant.
From its...
Thank you. Farewell, Doctor.
See you...
여기서 현자 타이머네. 일단 오늘 여기까지 해볼게. 평양.
This cemetery is the very image